Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome to a brand new driveway. Welcome to my new van builder's uniform, and welcome to the BLUETTI B230. That's right, guys. In this week's video, I am going to explain the B230. It's just a quick chat. I'm not going to get knuckled down with numbers. I'm going to try my hardest not to bore you guys. It is about what it's for, when you're going to use it, and what happens when you plug this in, and what happens when you press this button, and is it supposed to do that, and why is it charging here and then. I've worked it out. It's nothing like I imagined. It's far cleverer than I imagined. I'm going to take you into the new workshop and I'm going to talk you through it. So yeah, welcome to the new workshop. I'm not going to lie, it's not 100% complete, but here we are anyway. This video is going to be about the B230, which is obviously known as an expansion battery to a main unit. In this example, it is the AC200 Max. This video isn't necessarily going to be about that, only how the B230 works with it. If you did want to know more about the AC200 Max, I have a dedicated video up here, or up there, I think it's up here. So like I've said, this video is going to be a formal chat, just explaining what it's for, the B230, why you would use it, and when it's going to turn on, that kind of thing. It is a very, very formal chat, and I'm giving you the information that when I typed it in YouTube, I couldn't find. Once again, I didn't want to be crunched down with numbers and things like that. I just wanted to know the answer to some very, very simple questions, and I'm going to give them to you. So first things first, let's get rid of the AC200 Max, because that's just going to be in my way. Then the next thing is I'm going to stick a jumper on because, well, it's basically freezing cold, and my buddy over at Ape Adventures, you need to start doing hoodies, mate, as part of the work uniform. So now I'm warm enough to continue. I'm going to take you for a quick look around the unit itself. So here is the BLUETTI B230. It has a battery capacity of 2048 watt hours. If that rings a bell, it's because it's the exact same battery as in the AC200 Max itself. So adding this in a daisy chain situation to a BLUETTI AC200 Max would exactly double your capacity, but I will go into that shortly. Within its own right, this is actually a power bank. I'll take you for a look. On the side here, you have the master on-off, let's call it. So that would actually switch the unit on, and then you get a brief indication of how much battery is left. You can get the exact capacity that's left via the app. I will show you that again shortly. And then on the side here, you have 240 volt input, so you can charge it from the mains. That is actually independently the only way to charge this. Unless you're linked to a major unit, you cannot charge this via solar or via the car, not within its own right, not when it's not attached to something else. But you can charge this from the main independently. There on the side you have a big cable input, which is going to be your daisy chain, I'm going to call it, to chain it into something else. And then on the side here, which I think is absolutely awesome, you have some outputs. You have a 10 amp cigarette lighter there, so you could run a day van off of this, no sweat. You just put a cigarette lighter output to like a little fuse board or even an aux beam panel, you know I love them. And then you could be running a day van. As long as you don't go over that 10 amp output, you'll be absolutely fine. And then you've got a USB-C for your laptops and things like that, and then a USB-A. So within its own right, this is actually basically a power bank, even though it's designed to be used in conjunction with something else. So let's bring in the AC200 Max and talk you through what it's going to do when it's daisy chained. So to link the two units together, you'll take this cable, which is supplied with the B230. You cannot get this wrong. It simply plugs into one unit, plugs into the other unit. That is linked. Now there is two little blue buttons on there, and they say lock, unlock. As far as I've learned so far, until you just click them over, they will not be linked. I don't know if that finalizes the connection. It says about locking it on it, but I plugged that in before, nothing happens. You flick them and you're good to go. So guys, this is the information that I find is vital. It took me a while to get my head around it, but now I've totally learned how it works. And once it's explained to you simply by a simple person, it's absolutely awesome. So while these are connected at the moment, I've actually got the bottom unit off. This reads at 15%. At this stage, I may even go into my app to prove all of this, because I don't want to just zoom in and get all shaky. I'll go into my app here. I'll put a little screen record over the top to talk you guys through this. So it's just loading up, just finding it. So as you can see, we click on battery pack. At the top there, pack 1, it says 15%. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is exactly correct. Now I know that this fella at the bottom, I think it's on about 80%, maybe even more. When I turn this bottom unit on, when I turn this expansion pack on, this then becomes one battery. That's why they're the exact same size. This becomes one system. That 15%, that figure will change. At first, I thought I was getting misreadings because I knew that this was at, say, 60%, and then all of a sudden it was 82%, and I thought I was getting misreadings. You're not. As soon as I turn this on, the accumulative percentage, because this system becomes part of this system, it changes. So, watch this. We've now changed as a collective. If I go back, you just saw that change actually on the screen, which is awesome, to 47%. So to explain this, and I'm sorry I said about not crunching numbers, it's very, very simple, I promise, keep up. This is at 80%, you can see that from the bottom of the page. This is at 15%. All you need to do to get this collective figure is add those two numbers together. So 80 plus 15 is 95. Half it, that's where you get your 47% from. It's as simple as that. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Now, what you will notice, if you have noticed, at the bottom of the screen there, this says on pack 3, discharge. This is discharging and this is charging. This is where it gets really, really interesting. So, I thought that this unit would always try and put this unit at 100%. I thought this would drain down and make sure that this unit is always at 100%. That is not the case whatsoever. The case is actually, these two together combined will always do whatever they can to level out. So, at the moment, this is discharging into this unit. When they get level, so when they get at 47% each, that will stop. They will level out and they'll both go into standby mode. It's absolutely awesome. On the flip side, if we plug this in and those numbers were reversed, for example, so if this was at 80% and this was at 15%, this would do nothing right until the point that this unit was also down to 15%, and then they would deplete at the same time. It's honestly, it works so much different to what I expected, and also so much better. It will always try its hardest to level it out. So if I was to plug this unit in to the mains now, 240 volts, this would show charging. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go get a lead. Back in a sec. So, just get my workshop power here in the way of an extension lead. You will get a 240 volt brick with your B230, so that's how you would charge that up independently. So, makes a little bit of noise, a little bit of fan running. Someone complained that I didn't mention that in the last video. Doesn't bother me none. Now then, let's take a look at the screen record at the same time. At the moment, pack 3, this fella, is discharging into this fella. Watch when I plug the mains in. This will still remain as charging, this top one, but the bottom one should go into standby mode, just like that. So that's now doing nothing because this is getting a charge from the grid. When this gets to the same 79% that the pack is on, they will then charge them up together. So that it will charge through the units, but again, it's trying its hardest to get those two level. And it's the same with solar. If I plug the solar in and there was any sunshine, which there is not, so I'm not even going to bother, this would charge And then equally, once they're level, it would charge it collectively. It's all about getting the system at a level. The only thing BLUETTI do say, sorry, is don't plug this in to the unit when it's at 0. It won't like that. So check this out, guys. I know this is not the best video in the world, but I just want to talk to you like you're considering using one of these and you want someone to say, yeah, it's going to do this when you plug this in and things like that. So at the moment we're charging this, but this has already got loads of power in it. So this is in standby mode. Watch the screen record now. As I take this out, standby on this fella goes straight back to discharge, and this is still charging. This is still charging now. The collective number, because I've plugged it in a couple of times, is going up. That's no problem at all. But watch this. This is where it gets clever. Because this has also got a 240 input, if I plug this in, what do you think will happen? So I'm now going to plug the B230 in. It goes back into standby, and we're still charging this one. It's doing everything it can to get their numbers level, and then it's going to work together. It's absolutely awesome. That power, even though I've plugged it into there, is totally bypassing that and going straight into there. This is now doing nothing apart from transferring energy from the grid into this. It's honestly an absolute cracker. It doesn't work anything like I thought it would. It works better, obviously, because I'm just a dummy. I love it. And you can actually chain 2 B230s into an AC200 Max. So while I'm talking about 240 charging, if you bought one of these, you get a brick. If you bought one of these, you get a brick. I haven't found the information out there. I don't think you should plug both into 240 at the same time while it's in a loop. But what you can do to halve that charging time, if you were back at base and you were charging up or you were on an electric hookup, simply disconnect the daisy chain and then charge them independently, one at a time, 440 watts, 440 watts. That will charge it obviously twice the speed because they're both getting 400 watts at the same time. So that is a little bit of a hack. Always keep both bricks with you if you are likely to hook up. And because we're learning all the time, I'm learning as I'm standing here. I've just gone back onto, cue the screen record, I've just gone back onto the main screen that I've got. And because the 240 is actually plugged into the secondary unit, even though it is charging, and this is definitely in standby mode, and this is definitely charging, like I said, we can't see it. You can't see the input, but hopefully, if I unplug this fella, you'll watch it take over as well. You'll watch it instantly go from standby to discharge. Absolutely correct. But let's go back, and if I plug this in like so, that's the input, 468 watts. So I mean, that's the input, sorry, this is the input, 468 watts, about there maybe. So it's absolutely working a treat. Now that is over 4,000 watt hours. 4,000 watt hours is about, at 12 volts, even though this is 50 volts, what people say, that is about 320, 340 amp hours. And you can add another one of these to make a collective of this number here. So this is charging 469 watts from the brick. And then once this is up to said level, it will then filter it between the two. It'll bring them up together. And likewise, on the flip side, once again, if those numbers were the opposite way round, it would be charging this to get it to this level. It's as simple as that. So 49%, that is a collective 49%. If I unplug this, that would drop. Now, quite strangely, and what's quite hard to get your head around is if the numbers were a little bit different, and say this was at 90 and this was at 80, you plug them in, and this unit, which once said 90, is going to read 85. Now, you're gonna seem like you've got less power because you've got 85%, but 85% of 4,000 watt hours is a lot more than 90% of 2,000 watt hours. It's a bit like the old adage, 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing. Believe me, go on the app. It makes perfect sense when you think about it from that perspective, hopefully from the perspective that I keep trying to get across to you, that they're trying to level each other out, they work together. That is a collective number, 49%. If I go back onto my battery pack, what have we got? 78% and 20%. You add them two together, that's nearly 100. You half that, that's 49%. Absolute genius, I love it. So this was just a little insight into the B230 and what that does when you combine it with a main unit such as the AC200 Max. Now, this isn't the main video I'm going to be doing. I just really wanted to show you guys this setup. I will be introducing this into my ultimate day van and probably using this in between both builds. I love having this with me, just gives me a bit of peace of mind. I genuinely do have solar issues at the moment on my big build. For the first time ever, I've actually had to plug it into shore power, into an electric hookup. I think it's a solar issue because the slow draws like the fridge and things, I don't think I'm getting any solar to top it up and it's just basically dying. So if that happens out on the road and you've got this sat there, absolutely awesome. And I also love using this for all of this camera stuff. I haven't got that many plug tops that take USB-A's and USB-C's, so I actually use this as a docking station for all of my camera stuff. I absolutely love it. So once again, this was just a quick intro trying to give you that information that I couldn't find when I was doing my research to make this video, if that makes sense. Please do consider subscribing. Hopefully I've answered most of the generic questions that you guys might have. If not, drop the comments down below. I'll try my hardest to answer them if I can. I'll answer every question, don't get me wrong, but whether or not I know the actual answer is totally different. Thanks once again. Please do consider subscribing and I will see you next Tuesday.